Hello, my name is Kobe Kushner. I'm an analyst here at Red Cloud Securities. Thank you to Oberon Capital for sponsoring this session. We're about to hear from John Bay and Sean Hilliker of Standard Uranium. This is a company that's on the hunt for uranium and none other than Saskatchewan's prolific Athabasca Basin. John and Sean, you have about 15 minutes, which will follow with 5 minutes of Q&A. Viewers, feel free to ask your question at any time.
Thank you, Kobe. Once again, thank you to Red Cloud for putting this together and giving us the opportunity to share our story with you. So I'm John Bay. I'm the CEO of Standard Uranium, and with me today is Sean Hilliker, our VP of Exploration. So many of you probably know our story, and we're going to get right into the details of our upcoming drill programs. But for those who are new, we're going to give you a quick overview. So Standard Uranium, we're a Canadian junior uranium exploration company. All our projects are in the Athabasca Basin. And there's no better time in the world to be looking for uranium than right now. The macro story is remarkable. Here is a slide on our, for some reason my slide deck, there we go. Here we go, past our legal, it's going too fast. Slide number 1. So this is the map of the Athabasca Basin. You can see we have 5 projects here. So our flagship being the Davidson River in the southwest corner, the Sundog in the north near Uranium City, and we have 3 projects on the eastern side of the basin. We're going to be talking to you about all of those projects today, but right now I want to let you know we are searching for the next high-grade discovery in the Athabasca Basin. And we're going to tell you why we're a great company to be investing in and what you really want to look for companies who are doing this kind of work we are. So, next slide. Why invest with Standard? So there's 5 things we really try to tell people about that are important. Number 1, you want to have a management team that's actually been there, done that, is able to raise money, is able to move projects forward, have the technical skills to be able to look and find discoveries here. And we'll tell you about our team going forward. Number 2, you want to have the macro story. So the macro story in uranium has never been better, and we'll get into that in a few slides. Number 3, you want to have an area where you can actually do work, not Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is one of the best provinces in Canada and the world to operate in, and it has great First Nations relationships, and there's great opportunities for permitting and finding great projects. Now, the Athabasca Basin, there's no better place in the world to find a high-grade uranium deposit than Saskatchewan. So I mentioned we have 5 projects. We're going to talk to you about all those projects and what they're like. And the most important thing for some of you people who like getting a lot of torque, a lot of reward in your investment, we're pre-discovery. What that means is we haven't made that big discovery yet. And if we do, the opportunity for a 20x on our share price is quite possible. A few other examples have done that are ISO Energy, Next Gen Energy Fission. Those are all ones that had great success once they made that discovery. So, snapshot. You can see on the right the map of the Davidson River project and the conductors going through there. Sean's going to talk to you about why that's important. Once again, we took this company public in May of 2020. We're going into our largest exploration program ever, and we'll get into that in a bit. Our flagship is our Davidson River project. We're going to be drilling that for the 4th time this summer. Our team is very strong technically, geologically, and capital markets-wise. Nuclear power is back. The globe is moving towards clean energy, and there's no better energy source than nuclear. And I think the world is really starting to understand that now. And we're better than North America to find that, and we'll talk about that as well. Short-term catalyst, we're going up to Sundog. We're drilling in a few days, then we're going to move right over to Davidson River, drill there all summer, then we're going to go to our eastern projects in the fall. So lots of exciting things coming for Standard Uranium. Now, our team, you can see this map of who our players are. We've got a couple directors on the bottom who are well-known in the uranium space. Mike Young came to us from Vimy Resources, where he was the CEO for 8 years. Zoya Sheshkova came to us from Uranium One, where she was a CFO in Kazakhstan. Blair Jordan and Ken Judge are both capital markets guys, lawyers and bankers. And then on the top, we have Sean McGraw, our new president, capital market specialist, CFO background. And we have Martin Bajic as our CFO, myself as a CEO, and Sean and Neil are our technical team. So Neil's been with us from the start. He's been in the basin for 18 years, specifically looking for uranium. Sean came to us a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago now, from Next Gen, where he spent 5 years doing his master's degree on the Arrow deposit. So nobody knows this region better than Sean and Neil, which is exciting. So the macro story. We all know what's going on in Ukraine right now, this tragic situation. But what does that do to uranium? Well, it's going to have a dramatic effect. You might not know this, but Russia and its partners supply about 40% of the globe's uranium to the world. So countries like the US, who have 94 nuclear reactors, they get a lot of their power, a lot of their nuclear power from Russia. So what happens if they shut that off? It's dramatic. So watch for the Americans looking to source their uranium and nuclear fuel from places that are friendly: Canada, Australia, US domestically. That's going to have a big impact. On top of what's going on over there, we have Sprott coming to the market with their New York Stock Exchange listing this summer. Japan is going to bring on their reactors, possibly 30. We've got Germany talking about this week how they may be putting their nuclear reactors, not shutting them down. So that's a whole completely new sea change there. We've got France building 14 new nuclear reactors, China announcing 150 new nuclear reactors. The world has never been stronger in my lifetime for uranium. So a great time to be investing in uranium companies. Now let's go into this. This is the Lassonde curve, which shows you the life cycle of a company and when's a great time to invest. So if you see our logo down here, we are still pre-discovery. What that means is we haven't made that big discovery yet. So when we do forward-looking statement, there's a huge upswing for our share price for potential investors. So keep that in mind when you're looking at people to invest with. I know I'm going really fast, everyone. We've got a really tight timeline here. The Athabasca Basin, once again, I mentioned it's the greatest place in the world to find uranium, the highest grades. The grades here are staggering compared to anywhere else in the world. And if you look at some of the numbers down below, you can see that. All those red dots are discoveries or projects around the Athabasca Basin, and you can see our 5 projects there. Saskatchewan's got great mining friendly policies, great workforce, infrastructure, it's all there. So working in Saskatchewan is a wonderful place. Now, let's talk about our projects. I'm going to pass it over to Sean Hilliker. We're starting with our Sundog, which we're going to start drilling this week. Take it away, Sean.
Thanks, John. So as John mentioned, 2022 is going to be the biggest year for Standard Uranium to date. Our board of directors, our technical team, we're all super excited to get up here and start exploring, and that's happening right now. So our teams are currently up here at the Sundog Project right now. As John mentioned, this is up by Canada's very first uranium mining district, up by Uranium City, along the northwestern edge of the Athabasca Basin. So that's what our exploration thesis is here and on most of our projects, is that classic high-grade Athabasca style uranium. So we've got our very first drill program planned on Sundog. It's going to be, we're going to have drills turning in about 2 days' time. So we're really looking forward to that. And we're following up on some historical work that's been done here. And we actually just completed a high-resolution ground gravity survey to help really bolster our drill targets on this project. So we've gone up here, we've ground truthed a lot of these historical results. We have high-grade uranium mineralization in the Athabasca sandstones right at surface. You can see on the slide there, we have grades up to around 3.5% right at surface, which is fantastic. And you can also see those the dots on the map there are all historical drill holes. So not only do we have perched mineralization at surface in the sandstone, but we also have basement mineralization as well to follow up on. So we've just run our geophysics here. We have some really compelling drill targets to test, and we're going to be drilling this through the month of March, about 3,000 meters, depending on the ice road and how much we can get done in that timing. And you can see on this slide here some really beautiful examples of that high-grade uranium mineralization right at surface. So really great looking rocks, and we're going to be following these up for the very first time in 14 years. And bringing kind of our modern understanding of how these systems work. And we're really hoping to tap into these high-grade roots of these mineralizing systems. So as I said, we're going to be drilling this through the month of March, fully permitted. We have our First Nations agreements in place. Working with them has been fantastic up there. And we're going to be pushing this thing forward for the first time. So keep an eye out for some results coming out as we continue to drill this project over the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Sean. And after we move along from Sundog, where are we going next?
We are going to head back down to the old flagship Davidson River project. So one thing I really want to kind of accentuate here is that this project was never touched, never explored for uranium until Standard acquired it in our portfolio. So you look at, some other projects that have been being explored by, different companies since the late 70s, still have yet to make a discovery. I just really want to accentuate that we are just scratching the surface of what Davidson River potential really is. So another thing is this is a massive project in a world-class jurisdiction. It's not just an area play. We staked this project based on the geology and what we believe is happening in this area. You can see on this map here, Triple R, Arrow, and Spitfire, all of those uranium deposits and showing sit along that blue squiggly line. That's the Patterson Lake conductor right there. And you can actually see that those fold up through our Davidson River project. So as I said, it's not just an area play. The science and the geology is sound. So I cut my teeth in this area on the Arrow deposit, like John mentioned. So we've been working really hard to kind of unravel the geology in this area and use that to our advantage in targeting at Davidson. So what we're doing here is exactly, how the team found Arrow. So we don't have rocks at surface like we do at Sundog here. What we're looking for is all under the cover of overburden and other rock types on top of those basement rocks that host the high-grade uranium at Arrow, at Triple R, at Spitfire. So what we've done here, you can kind of see again, those dark blue lines on the map, those are the conductors. They essentially represent graphite-rich rocks that have been torn apart, opened up, and essentially create the plumbing system for uranium to come in. So you can actually see that those rocks are actually folded up and those conductors continue up through our Davidson River project. So on the schematic diagram there on the right-hand side, you can see the Arrow deposit sitting on that Patterson Lake corridor. We have this feature called the Clearwater domain in the middle that has been speculated recently to be a potential source and driver of the uranium fluids and systems in this area. And that's why we're seeing really nice metal endowment on these structures on kind of each side of it. So that's the whole mirror theory, is we're seeing this on the east side with these high-grade world-class deposits at Arrow, Triple R, and that's what we're looking for on Davidson River as well. So we came up here, started testing our thesis, following the trend. This is where we start in this area. If we're gonna find uranium in the basin, in this area, we know that it will be associated with these conductive trends. So you can see that we have a lot of these on this property. The property is massive, 25,000 hectares. You can see the scale bar there on the map for reference. These things are massive. The blue sky potential on this project is quite amazing, actually. So we just started testing this, as I said, in 2020, right after our go public, did our first drill program in the summer of 2020, focused on the Warrior trend there, which had some of our highest priority targets, and immediately started testing this thesis. So are we seeing the same rock types as across the road that are around the Arrow deposit? Yes, we're in the same basement domain. Are we seeing similar structures? Are we seeing similar alteration? And yes and yes. So immediately we started proving out this thesis that we are seeing these environments in the rocks that we want to be with, that we know can host high-grade uranium in this part of the world. So on this slide here, you can see some of the rocks that we intersected just last summer during our third drill program. So we've been each program, we've been progressing, vectoring in, building on our knowledge, putting it in 3D, and really trying to vector into a discovery. So you can see that those rocks are altered. The dark colored rocks represent those conductors. Those are all full of graphite. So that's just what we're looking for. So myself and our technical team, we've never been more excited to get back up to Davidson. We've got another big drill program planned for spring, summer this year. So as soon as we demob from drilling at Sundog, those drills are coming right back down here to Davidson, and we're going to turn around and start drilling as soon as we can fly. So weather permitting, of course, but we're planning for about May, and that'll probably take us through to at least August.
Awesome. Let's jump over to the Eastern Basin projects, and we've got about a minute here, Sean. So give us the quick dirty on the Eastern projects, and then I'll do the wrap up.
Sounds good. So we got 3 different projects over here: Atlantic, Canary, and Ascent. The exploration thesis here is very similar to that at Sundog, classic Athabasca style uranium. These projects have a little bit of historical work done on them, very encouraging results already. Basically, we just need to run some geophysics to get these drill ready, like I said, to bolster up our drill targets and go hit them hard. So we're actually doing that for the very first time on these projects again this year. So we're running our geophysics on all 3 different types of surveys to really get these things drill ready in the future.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. So on to the last slide here. This is our capital markets slide. A few things I want to draw your attention to. Number 1, our cash in the bank is about 2.7 million. We're valued between 25 and 30 million right now Canadian. Our share price is roughly between around 23 and 25 cents this week, which is pretty nice. Capital structure, 119 million shares out. and 162 fully diluted, listed on the TSX Venture, the OTC market in the US, and the Frankfurt Exchange. The bottom left corner, you can see some of our shareholders. Those are management insiders owned between 15 and 20%. We're about 70% retail held. And then institutionally wise, we have Station Cove, Azarias, L2 Capital, and Tribeca. If you know the uranium space at all, those are some pretty significant uranium specific funds, and having them believing in us is a big win for our company. And they've been invested for a few years with us, which is great. We also trade great volume. So if you're looking for a share price or a company you can trade in and out of, we trade between 200,000 to 500,000 shares a day, which is remarkable. And it's a great time. Our share price is sitting at about 25 cents right now. A few months ago, when the market really moved, we were up in around 50 cents. So we believe as this market picks up, there's a lot of way for this share price to move up with us. So we're excited about that, and we can't wait to start drilling and start marketing again and sharing our story with all our investors. So let's hand it back to you, Kobe, for any questions you might have.
Yeah, great presentation, guys. Very eloquent. As you said, we'll now start with the Q&A portion. So you've completed some drilling along the Warrior Trend in the past, and what exactly did you learn from the core, and how's that going to help you moving forward?
Great question. Sean, go ahead.
Sure. So like I said, we focused kind of along the Warrior Trend with the very first drill program. Since then, with our second and third drill programs, we started branching out more meters, testing these other trends as well. So, kind of as geological detectives, so to speak, each, like I said, we're exploring undercover, purely geophysical targets to start with. But as soon as we get a drill hole in the ground, we can gather a lot of information that's really valuable from those rocks. We can take measurements, we can look at alteration, start modeling rock types. So each hole really helps build that model and build our geological understanding on the property. And that really helps us vector into where we want to go next. So if we can really quickly evaluate these corridors. Do we want to be here? Do we want to be here? Does this portion of the corridor look better than this portion? And it really helps us guide the ship to where we want to go. So huge amount of information. And
thank you.
Drilling,
one thing to add to that is, prior to us getting the first drill holes in the Davidson River project, our theory was that, look, we were going to be a mirror theory right across from Arrow on the other side of the Clearwater domain, but we couldn't really prove that until we started putting drill holes in the ground. Once that core started coming out, having guys like Garrett and Sean there being able to go, yeah, this is the same core we saw at Arrow, and that we just need to find the uranium. So we're really excited about that, and we're just getting better and better with each drill program.
Awesome. Is there anything in the works in terms of M&A? Are you guys looking to, maybe vend out some of your Eastern projects or maybe acquire more projects?
Good question. So yes and yes, we are constantly in discussions with people, both on the acquiring and divesting projects. We believe we've got some five remarkable projects, and we know because people keep coming at us trying to get a piece of them. But look, for us, the shareholder value is that we're going to put some drill holes into all these ones first and see where that goes. We want to drive the value for our shareholders by doing that.
Great. And at Sundog, you guys have this historic Gunner mine. And can you just remind us, what did that produce and at what grades?
Sure. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I don't know the actual numbers on that, Kobe. I'd have to refresh my memory, but the thing that's different about Gunner from what we're looking for is Gunner is actually in the Beaver Lodge domain. So geologically speaking, these deposits are smaller, they're lower grade. I think the grades coming out of Gunner were less than 1%. If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on that, but those Beaver Lodge style uranium deposits are smaller, they're lower grade. We are looking for the Athabasca style deposits that are very high grade, very concentrated. And so the system's a little bit different there. So historically in that area, a lot of these things were found. There's outcrop everywhere up there. So you can go prospecting with your scintillometer. You get radioactive measurements right at surface, and you can follow up with drilling right away, right? So that's how these things were found historically. They were open pit mined or relatively small mines kind of scattered everywhere. So we're kind of looking on the other end of the spectrum, looking for these Athabasca high grade styles. So looking for another Gunner isn't what we're doing up there. We're looking for, the next Cigar Lake, McArthur River, that kind of deposit, right?
Gotcha. And with that, we're out of time. So thank you, John, and thank you, Sean. Next up, we do have Encore Energy.